Okay, so you've no doubt seen this clip already today because it's been pretty shocking in terms of actually seeing them say the quiet part out loud. Right? They've been kind of murmuring it, they've been whispering it. Now she's just kind of saying it right there out there like, we can do it because we say it's a different thing. It's not different, and we just are saying it's not different. Referring to the kids in cages, if Joe Biden can open new facilities because we don't even want every bed full. We want to create more facilities to have all these kids spread out even further because of COVID. That's part of her assertion. But the other bigger one that I want to focus on is actually one of the first things she says. So take a listen.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Jen. A few on immigration really quick. Merrick Garland was asked yesterday if illegal entry at the border should remain a crime, and he said, I haven't thought about that question. Does President Biden believe that illegal entry at the border should remain a crime moving forward?
Well, I think he was being asked as the Attorney General, the future Attorney General. I think he's looking to head to be confirmed of the United States. And if he wants to make considerations independently, he can certainly do that. But
that's a really poor understanding of the Constitution and then the law of the United States. The Attorney General just has open discretion to name things laws or not laws, just to decide whether crossing the border is illegal or whether it's a criminal act. Whether he'll prosecute it at the federal level is one thing, I suppose, but what she just asserted and what she wants the viewers at home to see, and this is kind of why I think it's weird, kabuki, evil political theater that they're doing this. Because Peter Doocy was with the Biden campaign the entire last year because he's the correspondent from Fox. He's bleaching his hair and being like a weird little goofball, sidling up to Biden all the time. And I'm not saying he always gives him a little bit of grace or credit or anything, but do you think that he's ever really the enemy, or is he like the controlled opposition, the guy who's going to do these fake swipes at Biden so that they can try to get Jen a couple wins? And it's not happening, for the record. She's even saying, she's like, well, first of all, it's just exciting that Merrick Garland could even be the AG. So like when he becomes the AG, and we're all excited about that, he can just do what he wants. So I think he's just kind of letting you know, like, he hasn't even thought about that. But that being said, he can just do whatever he wants. Right? That's kind of what she said here.
the president's spoken to this, and we believe in abiding by our laws. As you know, there, of course, is a process underway at the Department of Homeland Security to take a fresh look at prioritization and who is detained and who is sent back home. So that is something happening from the Department of Homeland Security. But again, if he's going to lead an independent Justice Department, and it's his prerogative to take a look at any policies under their purview.
It's his prerogative to just decide what laws to follow and to execute, is what she's really saying there. What's under my purview, right? I remember the purview guy, okay? So that's the playbook here. And what I'm suggesting here is that Peter Doocy has told them, because we know, this is not news, the Biden press corps said, you must give us all your questions in advance. So we know that this isn't gotcha. This isn't a gotcha journalism moment. He's trying to tee her up with a hard question for him on Fox to show, and they'll have her response like, listen, here, let me just show you how independent the AG is going to be, and let me just show you how, like, the Biden administration is going to let the DHS just do whatever, and so if people are being told they need to leave, then they'll just have to leave. But she's not being honest, and also saying the administration froze all deportations, specifically those with sexual criminal activities in their backgrounds. Prosecutions, people that we know who they are, where they're supposed to be, and trying to make them leave is now impossible because of Joe Biden.
To that point, why is the Biden administration reopening a temporary facility for migrant children in Texas?
Well, first, the policy of this administration, as you well know, but just for others, is not to expel unaccompanied children who arrive at the border. And the process, how it works, is that Customs and Border Control continue to transfer unaccompanied children to the HHS Office of Refugee Resettlement. That can take a couple of days. I just want to give this context because people need to understand the process. But because of COVID-19 protocols, the social distancing requirements, the capacity of existing Office of Refugee Resettlement shelters has been significantly reduced because, of course, you can't have a child in every bed.
Did you hear that? You can't have a child in every bed? Why? Do you have to put like 2 in Joe's bed? Someone tell me, legitimately, is Hunter there? Is that why they can't put a kid in every bed? Why is it that you can't have one kid per bed. You can't space the beds out. I don't understand this. And I'm not being silly or facetious. I'm saying that she doesn't understand it. She's grasping at straws, saying, we have to like spread these kids out because it's like, we can't have one kid in each bed. That doesn't make sense. So that's not prepared. This ball on the tee that Peter Doocy put there for her to just say, it's not the same, it's different. She's like, well, they are the same and they're wrong, but here's why we're doing it. And it is a little bit different because of this and that. And it's all just downhill from here.
Needs to be spacing, and we abide by those spacing to protect the kids who are living in those facilities for a short period of time. And to ensure the health and safety of these kids, HHS took steps to open an emergency facility to add capacity where these children can be provided the care they need before they are safely placed with families and sponsors. So it's a temporary reopening during COVID-19. Our intention is very much to close it, but we want to ensure that we can follow COVID protocols as unaccompanied minors come in.
Just one thought here. She also says, until the children are placed with families or sponsors, not returned to their families, not reunited with the people that they had come across the border illegally with. They're saying these are just minors that are showing up at the border. No one was with them. So we're placing them into families into the United States or sponsors. Why do you want all the kids spread out? But you'll have, essentially a distribution channel farming these kids out to families and sponsors. This doesn't sound like they're reuniting with their family.
Into the United States.
But it's the same facility that was open for a month in the Trump administration, summer 2019. That is when Joe Biden said, under Trump, there have been horrifying scenes at the border of kids being kept in cages. And Kamala Harris said, basically, babies in cages is a human rights abuse being committed by the United States government. So how is this any different than that?
We very much feel that way. These are facilities. Let me be clear here. One, there's a pandemic going on. I'm sure you're not suggesting that we have children right next to each other in ways that are not COVID safe, are you?
I'm suggesting that Kamala Harris said that this facility, putting people in this facility, was a human rights abuse committed by the United States government, and Joe Biden said, under Trump, there have been horrifying scenes of at the border of kids being kept in cages. Now, it's not under Trump, it's under Biden.
This is not kids being kept in cages. This is kids. This is a facility that was opened that's going to follow the same standards as other HHS facilities. It is not a replication, certainly not. That is never our intention of replicating the immigration policies of the past administration.
It's just not. Forget that it is. It is literally the same. It is by definition actually worse, but it's not. Okay, Peter, it's not. Okay, it's not. Well, it's not our intent. Who cares about what your intent is? The reality is what you're doing is opening new facilities and then encouraging people to come to them. That's what this is. And again, this is why I say it's theater, because they are just trying to make it look like a tug of war here for you on the news later. You're going to see the clip. You're not going to see that this is all assumed by the administration. This is all going to happen. So Peter pushing back and her answering the question is just to have an exposition, like a narrative for you in the evening so that you can understand the changes that are going to happen. It's not a debate. This is all just kind of a rolling out of the storyline.
But we are in a circumstance where we are not going to expel unaccompanied minors at the border. That would be inhumane. That is not what we are going to do here as an administration. We need to find places that are safe under COVID protocols for kids to be, where they can have access to education, health and mental services, consistent with their best interests. Our goal is for them to then be transferred to families or sponsors. So this is our effort to ensure that kids are not in close proximity and that we are abiding by the health and safety standards that the government has been set out.
Now you hear that again, just one more time. Spread the kids out for their safety. No one gets any kind of supervision. No one really sees or tracks who these kids are, where they go. And then they're going into the United States to sponsors and families, hosts, but not their families. They're not doing DNA testing to determine that the kids are going to their homes. That's how they're getting separated in the first place. Remember, under the Trump administration, they were doing DNA testing on the children with people at the border, finding out, hey, This guy who says this is Uncle Tio Mexicano, the uncle with these 5 kids, not related to any of them. So they'd separate him, and now you got 5 kids at the border, and those are the kids in cages that you just probably saved from being trafficked into the U.S. And what is Joe Biden's administration doing? They're saying, well, we're going to, keep them in those cages, and then when we find a suitable sponsor or a family, we'll offload them. Adopt them. Right? That's how I hear this.
Just quickly on climate. Last week, the climate envoy John Kerry said that there are only 9 years left to save the world from the effects of climate change. Does President Biden share that assessment? 9 years.
I don't have a new timeline to give you from here. I can confirm for you, though, that the president agrees with former Secretary Kerry that it's a crisis, that time is of the essence. We need to act quickly, and that's why climate is a key part of his agenda.
Okay, so you hear that, folks? You got 9 years. You got 9 years left of life until this is all done. It's all over. They said 12 years. That was 3 years ago. So have you not been paying attention? Set your clocks. You taking this seriously yet? Like this video, comment below, and share it out with someone you know. If you can do that, you're subscribing to the channel, hitting the bell, doing all of the different platforms, then you're helping me keep America afloat.